I want to thank the guys at PCA or Perfect Circle Autosport for hooking me up with the Team Dynamic wheels here, as you can see in bronze. I am running into a little issue with my 215 tire. I'm touching the coil, which I kind of anticipated. So I got myself, wait for it, some garage line spacers. But now the issue that I'm running into, there's no holes on the back of these wheels. So either I have to drill into the holes or I have to cut my studs. I'm gonna think about this one. There's another alternative, and that is ARP bolts, which are way longer. I can still use these and just press out the bolts and go from there. But I'm gonna think about that one. I might, while breaking it in, dial the camber back to stock to run the tires and wheels, because right now I'm like -2 degrees camber. That's probably why it's touching here. If I were to be around 1 degrees or 0, it'd probably be fine. But it looks pretty. This is 17x8. Wheelwood brakes obviously need to be cleaned from sitting around for 8 months, 9 months, something like that. But yeah, I went with the Yokohama Advan A048s in 215 40 17s. So that's a fun little goodie I got. Got to figure out how I'm gonna make it work in the front. The rears I have no issue with. The front is what I've got to figure out.
Did you want me to tighten these top hoses? Hose clamps? Pete!
Right here, what?
Told you to put hose clamps.
Where? Well, it's fine. We can put it over it.
Where's the T-clamp?
I think you're on it. Yeah, let's start there. Just done.
Alright, I got this side. Now you just line up the bottom and put them in. Okay, you bent it, but whatever.
Lock into there with the radiator. We gotta just watch this cable. So the way that this works is it slides, the top slides in, the bottom is the part that has to sit. Intake time.
Are there like torque
No.
torque specs or just
Good
snug?
and tight. Good and tight. That's a torque spec.
Oh, I thought it was German food. Would you like some good and tight?
Good and tight.
Pete?
What?
So these spin. What direction am I supposed to have them in?
Yeah, they're adjustable. I'll worry about adjusting them.
Alright, so I'll just worry about bolting them in. New?
Yeah.
I like that. Plexiglass and everything?
Oh yeah.
Look at you with all the technology.
Wants to see if everything clears.
Does it sit in the same?
Yep.
Oh my god, Pedro.
Dropping stuff.
Why are you dropping stuff? That is pretty. Where'd you get this from? I like it. I approve. That's really pretty.
That's the hard part.
And you know what I like about this? If this gets scratched up, we just go buy some plexiglass and we already have a stencil.
Yeah.
Where's the hard stuff?
This.
Is that fine?
I can't get my intake in because I have a little contact issue, so let's do something about that. For right now, because I'm gonna make a custom bottom intake for it, I'm just removing it for clearance. I'll be cutting that one later and adding an attachment, so that's how I fix this.
I contemplated it, but I still don't want to like cook my lights.
So we're changing the sway bar end links from the stock OEM cast aluminum, I've snapped a couple of those already, to an adjustable setup. And the benefit with this is when you lower or raise your car, in this case the lowering, you can adjust where the sway bar is sitting to get the optimal geometry for when you're handling. There's no unusual, bumps. The sway bar isn't hitting anything, whether it be the chassis or the subframe. Everything is still, A-OK. Plus, these are way beefier than the OEM setup. Also, heavier. So, it's probably about a half pound heavier, I want to say. So, there's that benefit.
So hopefully it won't snap any.
We'll see. Fire. Great for cutting plastic for this Velocitech. And then, if you want to see, it just melts like butter. Obviously, it works better the faster you do it without having to grab a camera, but that's the concept I'm doing to cut this space out for the Velocitech to fit. Big mouth.
The oxidation on this bolt is not cool. Like, it's going on, but everything is tight.
Here we go.
Oh, damn it.
It is officially time to add our brake-in fluid, and all our fluids actually. I'm going to start off with the brake-in fluid. We've got a 5W30 right now. I believe it's Brad pin, but looks like I'm wrong. There you go. That's what it is. We're going to put in 5 quarts brake-in fluid. Run it. I've already got the Wix filter in. So after that, transmission fluid, coolant, brake fluid, bleed the whole system out. It's the finer details, my friends. Finer details. Apparently going backwards doesn't help either. Next up, we're adding our coolant, which I probably should have took the top off before the strut bar. That's okay. I'm gonna put 2 bottles of Royal Purple Ice, half a jug or half a gallon of concentrated antifreeze, and the rest is gonna be purified drinking water, not distilled, because this aluminum block. Oh my gosh. So we're going to start off with opening up the fill valve. We're going to use Motul Gear 300 fluid. Works well with the WaveTrack LSD. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. With the intake off, you can come from the top and you pull this out and it's like a big giant nipple. I'm just going to unscrew it and shove a little vacuum pump inside and pump away and pump the fluid in, or hand pump I should say. See the nipple? We're not going to use that though. We are going to use multi-tool transfer pump in and out. So obviously the in section, which is super long, is going to go in here. Make sure it's clean, obviously, if it's been sitting around for a while. Sometimes the old residue fluid will pick stuff up on the outside. Shove that in. Out one. Definitely make sure that one's clean. Goes right on up and in. we go. And commence pumping. Multi 600 for the brake fluid. So what we're gonna do now is put on our 6-point brace and hope that nothing shifts when I take out this bolt. I don't know what the heck's happening back there. Let's tighten the front. Funny, engine build, and this is the hardest thing. Actually, there's a lot of hard parts. It's getting stuck on all these small little things where it's just like, come on, are you serious? Are you serious? Maybe. Make sure it's going the right way. Yep. Gosh. That is clearly what it's supposed to be. I think I'll have to take it out and drill the hole bigger. And then, I don't think the backs are lined up well enough as well. I think the backs are going to have issues too. Yeah. Oh. Okay, let's take it off. Gotta get some drilling. I'm gonna make this thing fit. Got my gloves, got my goggles. It's not plugged in. Let's make this into a 2-piece and a 4-piece. Take 4. This time, we now have a 2-piece. This should fit. So I want to show you guys something that needs to be fixed. Right here, the weld has come undone, if you see me wiggling it. So a good friend of mine has graciously said he will re-weld this for me. So I just have to take the exhaust off a little bit later, not right now, and get that re-welded. This is aluminum, by the way, so weighs like 6 pounds all in total. All in total. Okay, let's get out. So, with our custom work, went ahead and cut the bottom of the CPE intake so it no longer has that U or J shape. It's nice and straight. It's going to go right on in, just like stock, and then on the bottom is where I'm going to add my own hose to our custom bottom feed intake, which I'm working on right now. So if you guys remember, I took this off, and this goes right up there, just like so. Perfect to put my hose on and to come down where I need it to. So now I've got to figure out how I want to put this bracket, this T-mount, because I have to tighten it at the same time and be able to get my arm in. I'm thinking right here is probably the best choice. This is also going to give me less room to bleed my clutch, so I'm thinking I should bleed the clutch first, which from the sounds of it, here comes Neil in the RS. So let's see. Yep, there's Neil. Driving in. Help is on the way. I should do the easy stuff first. Alright, we're going to be bleeding the clutch now. So when you do that, you have to turn this guy. You obviously have somebody in the car. It's really weird because you got to do it by hand. Alright, push the clutch down. Probably should feel like nothing. And pull it up. Break down. Does it feel good?
Very, very hard.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, back up. Push it down. And back up. All right, let's add our fuel because I emptied the 100 octane in it.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, it's happening. It's happening. Before turning the engine on, you have to prime it. So clutch and gas. Crank, 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 crank. That should be enough to lube the system up. I've got my instructions here and what they say. When I turn it on for the first 5 minutes, I let it idle and I check for leaks, and then after that I vary the RPM. So you guys don't need to see 45 minutes of engine break-in, but that's the procedure. So every 45 minutes it changes at different RPMs, so that way the oil rings can seal. And after the 45 minutes, I'm going to drain the oil, change the filter, put in new break-in fluid, and that's the first break-in setup. So I will see you guys after this thing has been started. I will start it though. I will let you guys hear and see it being started. Whew. Here goes. The battery. No, I think I need a jump. The battery doesn't want to let it start. Take 2 on that. We are going to try starting the car again. And, try starting the car again. I needed some juice on the battery. Come on. There it goes. It started. It started. It's a little rough because of the engine mounts. Ugh. Let's go check to see if there's any leaks. For 5 minutes, we're gonna check to see if there's any leaks. It's running. It's running. I don't see so far anything. I'm gonna climb under.
Put his cables ready.
You guys don't have to sit here for 45 minutes with me, but there we go. It's running. It's alive. The Fiesta lives. So started the car up. Noticed there was a little leak. After further inspection, it was behind the bracket for the CV axle on the passenger side. There was a bolt missing for one of the seal holes. So I put that back in, put everything back together, went to start the car, wouldn't start. Tried jump starting it, wouldn't start, just clicking, click, 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 click. Check the voltage meter, my battery is dead. What do I expect? So I have to order a new battery. I'm gonna go with something lightweight, and then we'll break in the engine because it ran for all of a minute, but it ran. So I'm kind of here at a stuck point. I'm gonna call it a day for right now, and tomorrow I will do a couple little things, putting it back together, order the battery. Battery should be here within this week, hopefully, with the proper mounting brackets and whatnot. So more upgrades, yay. Don't get to run it, but that's okay. Another week. The engine's in, intercooler's in, radiator's in. It's together. There we go. Ha. A couple days later, battery's dead. I have brand new Odyssey battery right on in here. We're gonna go ahead and install that. But before I do, I wanted to show you where it was leaking oil because I was thinking about it and I only kind of commented on it, but I wanted to actually show you. So let's come on over here to the passenger side. So as we can see, here's your passenger side disc assembly. You've got your control arm. Now when we go underneath, here's your passenger side axle. Right up in here, behind this bracket, 3 bolts hold this bracket. there is a bolt, and I will upload a picture so you guys can see what bolt I'm referencing with the bare block. That is a plug. There was no bolt in there, just behind this, so it was just leaking right on down and out. Simple fix, put a bolt back in, call it a day. Now you might see dripping fluids. I re-bled the coolant system, so get as much air out as possible. That's pretty normal. Okay, so with the snap of my fingers, we are going to go ahead and replace the battery. Boom! There we go. Had to do a little bit of cutting with our pieces of wood in here to make it so that way the sucker's not moving around, but it is solid. I'll paint these later black. I just want to test everything out, make sure it all fits well. We're gonna start the car now, and hopefully there's no leaks. I could do the break-in procedure. Again, don't mind me, I just got off of work. I really couldn't wait to get this started, as most of you probably can't wait. So the new battery didn't add too much weight with the wood. It's not too thick. All right, let's give this a moment of truth. New battery in. Hopefully our start issue is gone. I have my key. There we go. Same shit. What is happening? So we tried again with the new battery, and we're having the same thing. It's just click, click, clicking. It's not cranking over. We tried turning the engine by hand. It won't move in any direction. So the only thing different is the bolt I put in, I'm thinking, might have been just a little too long, because it wasn't the same bolt. And it might be touching something or jamming something internally. Hopefully it didn't damage it, but it didn't crank. That's the only thing I could think of. So we're gonna come back and remove said bolt, and then see if we can find one that's shorter that'll fit the plug. So with the splash shield sort of out of the way, I am removing the last bolt to the axle mount. Freaking long ass bolts. There's that. Now, I'll take the camera and show you the bolt. The bolt is right here. This one is the hole. I'm gonna pull it out. I think it's too long. We have to find one that is shorter. Thankfully, the engine never rotated or cranked while this bolt was in. As you can see, I clearly dented it. Hopefully there's nothing catastrophically failed that it was pressed up against. I can very easily now rotate the crankshaft and the entire crank assembly. Before, we could not rotate this at all. So it was not a battery issue. It's a bolt that is way too long issue. So,
I mean, you got an upgraded battery out of it.
I've got to get a bolt probably about half this length, just for that hole. Yeah. Try 579, or what feels like that. Put a much shorter bolt in, 20mm bolt, with a washer in it. So was able to turn the crank by hand. I'm going to see if the engine will crank and start. I'm not going to do the break-in procedure because we're running out of daylight, and right after the 45 minutes you have to drain your oil. I just want to see if it starts, so that way tomorrow I can do that and not be stressed.
And take a deep breath. Remember what breathing feels like?
No, I don't. Gosh, my patience has just literally gone nowhere.
All right.
So, clutch in.
Moment of truth, ladies. Success!
I'm gonna check real quick to see if it's leaking at all. Turn it off right now, and we'll do the break-in procedure tomorrow.